Hey guys, welcome to another lesson of Pro Teachers Noob. To have with me, Liana.
Hello.
And today we got an interesting Elseworld, probably one of the more original Elseworlds. Let me just load it right up so you guys
You,
can see what it is.
you know I love my Elseworlds.
Yep, so do I. This one is Max Allen Collins and Eduardo Barreto on Batman, Scar of the Bat. Thing is, it's not Bruce Wayne.
Now,
It's
I,
it is Elliot Ness, the man who took down Al Capone, actually being a vigilante, and they find a way to actually the way they frame it is interesting.
was this during the period where they were doing a whole bunch of alternate Batmans?
Oh yeah, well yeah, they were doing a whole bunch of Elseworlds around this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this was in '96.
Yeah. Okay, 96. Right. Yeah, yeah,
This is the
yeah.
most interesting Elseworld because it's more of a case from X. Allen Collins. It's more tell Elliot Ness's story, but taking down Al Capone, but fitting in Batman into it, but in a way that makes it clear, like, but wait, that didn't happen, and there's an explanation. As we open up with I forget the guy's name, but he was the guy who was the ghostwriter for Ness's novel, biography, The Untouchables. He's there talking with like the Untouchables. That's what you want to call my book. Not really a name they hung on us until after the indictments. Maybe not, but it has a ring, Elliot. The Capone squad just doesn't cut it. We need a title that reflects the romance, the melodrama of those days. You want romance? You want melodrama? There's a story I could tell you. Well, hell, Elliot, tell it then. You wouldn't believe it. No one would believe it. Didn't even make the papers. It's the story of a Batman, like in the funnies. Only this happened long before the kiddies were reading about that character, and it didn't start with a Batman either. It started with a man with a bat, as we're seeing Al Capone beat a guy to death, because I heard he actually did that.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful in this.
Oh, it is, and I love
Yeah.
Barreto's artwork. May he rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, like, Al, geez, what and what have you done? They was disloyal, Frank. Had to teach him a little lesson. How the hell do you teach a guy a lesson by bashing his brain in, Al? These two was past learning, Frank. The lesson was for the rest of the class. So yeah, we're seeing all those bodies dumped, and of course there's splintered wood in the wounds. Looks like Snorky gave another testimonial dinner. Snorky, and that's Capone's nickname to the elite. Nobody calls him Scarface Al. Scarface Al, unless they want to get served a baseball bat banquet too. Makes sense. I always figured that's how it was. But yeah,
So
so
nice.
yeah, so again, majority of this is about Ness's dealing the heat on the president. And what president? President Hoover is what president is what president. But yeah, basically they're trying to come to an agreement of trying to take it all down. We have to get results fast, Elliot, or the game will be shut down before we begin. I'll get you some results. Can you get me some honest men? A few good men. Yep. But yeah, so we're seeing them again. Like I said, all of this is just gathering up. George Koken, Danny Rasher, so many of the ones that were actually part of their groups. And then and so we're seeing again just all this stuff, these meetings, talking through everything. This is not going to be a long one because I could just breeze through it saying this is all the real stuff that happened.
Yeah, yeah, that's gorgeous composition. Do you see with the brush strokes, like on the markers?
Yeah,
Like it all goes diagonal.
I love
That's
this coloring.
freaking stunning. Yeah.
It is. But yeah, so they're at one point they're just chit chatting about stuff. Again, most of the stuff is following what actually happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Back
even
when anyone cared.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, even see a bunch of the ladies like we don't sell liquor here, honey. Oh, beforehand there was one other bit. Oh yeah, I got I got nothing against a good mug of beer. Prohibition is a bad law, an unenforceable law, because the public doesn't believe in it, and that makes our real enemy, the underworld, incredibly strong in the power of wealth. I love that. That's the perfect way to sum up prohibition. No one really bought into it.
Yeah, it was.
How it got passed still baffles me.
Well, look at what's going on today, and it may
True,
baffle less. Yeah.
true, but the fact that it took until these days for that type of the world to be in that kind of place to do it again.
Yeah, but there was an example of a very vocal minority that managed to skew things to the point that a law went in that no one wanted.
Exactly. And it took
Yeah.
how long? But yeah, so eventually though, then they're like, like, I don't know, reading Sherlock Holmes as a kid, baby. Me, I remember the exact moment I wanted to after watching Zorro.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yep, but it's like, I'm afraid swords are in standard government issue where weaponry is concerned. But here's another one, the bat. I get up like the Batman wears in this would scare the bejesus out of those hoodlums. Sure enough, hey, I stand up. The biggest still in Chicago Heights. Where is it? I can't tell you. Snorky would. I just can't. Afraid of what Snorky would do? Afraid you might get your head bashed in like Piazza and Lamberto? Hell yeah. Damn! Don't make me ask again. I want that address now. So eventually they got the address, went over there, and like, federal agents, nobody move. But there was nobody to move. In fact, there was no sign of anybody, confirming a rumor we heard at Capone breweries were manned less than an hour in any given 24-hour period. The important thing was to make our presence felt, so they took down and they emptied all of the beer. So yeah, basically, this whole point notion of this is less being about Batman and more about Ness was being a vigilante. So again, we're seeing through all the history and everything, going through all this. But then that Ness looks about as tough as a soft-boiled egg. Then try me on for size, ladies. Oh! Now, this is Max Allen Collins, who's done stuff like Mystery and all that. So he knows how to do these type of style books. But yeah, of course, they're like, who is he? I want him dead. The usual jargon that I could see this happening. Joe, bang, bang. What do you know? Al was wrong. Martino did have braids. So they're trying to explain that was the reason that Martino got hit. Things like that until finally, where's and Baisley, Elliot? It's Frank's night out. Probably out walking that little pooch of his. We need to pull him in. George said the guys on the street spoke to him in Sicilian this afternoon, and Frank answered him. So his usefulness eavesdropping on Sicilians is over. So what? Snorky's not dumb enough to shoot a federal man. Elliot, Frank works for us, not Uncle Sam. Uh-oh. Oh! Threw a dagger right at his neck.
Good shot.
Oh. So basically they decided to go in there and deal with him. He goes in as the Batman. Real can go. It's you I want. So you're the clown they're calling the Batman, huh? Well, that's fitting because you're all right. Your bat's as a bug house belfry. Well, yeah, maybe, but I didn't bring my bat tonight, Snorky. Yeah? Yeah. I picked up a typewriter instead. A Chicago typewriter to write your bit to. Get him! Don't let him get away! What the hell kind of security is this, Frank? I ought to send you back to that barbershop in Brooklyn where I found you. So, yeah. Well, hit that, the son of a bitch. Al, he's a fed. Well, I'm fed up to here. Look what he's done to my beautiful domicile. Kill him, then fit him for a crooked cop frame. That'll keep the heat off. Yeah, and they got the new still up and running. It's bigger than the old one. We got the rat bastard Basil and his dog. Now it's you and you sons of bitches' turn. Oh, jeez. And Daddy got it bad. Your friend, Mr. Culkin, is a lucky man. He got hit 5 times, but he'll walk out of here in a week. But Rasher's not doing so well. That's, Danny Rasher. So, yeah, but of course, how's the family? Doing fine, Mr. Dick. Ma says hello. Take me over to the Capiri restaurant. Uh-oh. But, yep, so he gets info out of them. Until then, he comes in and puts up one big fight against so many of the other goons. Too bad we don't speak the same language, kid. Or do we?
Oh, jeez.
Like, nobody knows what became of Gianni and his two boys. They disappeared off the face of the earth that rainy night. Courtesy of a Capone cleanup crew, I'd imagine. I could tell from your face. What, Danny? You got him. You got him. I got him. So basically, he went for payback after that ambush. Not gonna make it, Elliot. You plant the stuff in my room, understand? What stuff? The mask, the gun, the coat. Make me the Batman. What are you saying? I know it was you. You can't go on with it. You gotta do it the right way. Be a cop, not some vigilante. Let it die with me. But Danny, promise me. Promise me you'll let me take the rap and that you'll get that bastard Snorky the right way. He died that night, Danny did. And so, in a way, did the Batman. In the days to come, we made a massive series of raids, a record number of arrests, leading to the promotion of Alex and Jamie, and he heading up the Capone squad, or if you insist, the Untouchables. We got
Hmm.
Snorky all right, went away for the tax rap from evidence. My men provided the IRS team. We indicted him too on prohibition charges, but he never faced them. Once repeal came in, it was too late.
Hmm.
By the time he got out of prison, Snorky was a shell. Syphilis had caught up with him. He spent his last few remaining years trying to catch up and fish in his swimming pool. Elliot, you can't really seriously expect me to believe that you dress up like some modern day Zorro and Elliot. We'll talk more tomorrow. There
Hmm.
was no tomorrow for the man who got Capone. For the man who got Capone, no opportunity for me to probe whether his tale of a Batman was real or just a figment of a drunken imagination. He died at his kitchen table on that cool summer evening in 1957. Heart failure. He didn't live to see his ghost-written biography, The Untouchables, published. He didn't live to enjoy his later day TV and movie fame. He died impoverished. At the end, he'd been left only with a bottle of scotch and his memories. So
Nice.
how was that?
You know what? I mean, one person, somebody could say, oh, it's just an Elseworlds. But I mean, the thing that's cool about that is that era was what inspired, the crime comics of that
Yeah,
era was what inspired Batman originally. And going back
exactly.
to its roots, it's like, I like this. I wish they'd do more of this now. That's what
I
was
know.
so cool about Elseworlds is, hey, we got this idea. Okay, it doesn't have to be tied into anything else. It's just a neat idea.
I know, but the fact is, let's be honest. This is just Elliot Ness, and Batman is just used so Max Allen Collins can tell people Elliot Ness's story. And by the
Yeah,
end, he also still say, "Was this real? Yeah, probably not."
I
But
I love it when they do that. It's like, well,
yeah,
who knows? Could just be drunken ramblings. But the fact that we're reading this, right after Trump got indicted and tax
yep,
tax evasion is part of that too. It's like history
it's
doesn't
yep,
repeat itself, but it rhymes, you
it does,
know.
it does. But again, overall, I mean, now I'll be honest. I do like this as an Elliot Ness story. As a Batman story, it's pointless.
It's using the structure of vigilanteism to do an
Yes,
alternative who shot him in 25, right?
exactly, exactly.
I mean, it is a nice little homage that Batman did use guns very, very early on, and of
Right.
course now he doesn't. They took that out. It does have some sort of callbacks to the classic origins of Batman, but yeah, it's using Batman to sort of Hamilton Elliot Ness,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Which that's not a bad thing, though. I mean, it's like Max Collins wanted to get people to know the story of Elliot Ness besides the Untouchables,
Right. Right.
and,
And I
and
I
yeah,
I wonder if that stuff would work today with how charged everything is because it
probably
seems
not. I don't
yeah,
think anyone. I don't think DC would even approve of something like this. I think Max Collins got lucky. He was at the top of his game when he did this, that he could get away with it.
maybe online only. They do some interesting stuff with digital comics
Oh yeah,
only.
online or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
crowdfunded, yeah. But as far as a
Yeah.
mainstream book, no, you could not
Now
get away with this. But
mainstream books are shackled to continuity. But I mean
exactly.
the art alone in that book is just gorgeous.
It is. But I just say, noticing what's wrong with this. Batman only appears like 4 times, and only very briefly.
Yeah, he's really only kind of a pretext for
And that's taking extreme measures.
the hit on Capone. I mean,
Exactly.
that period of American history during
Yeah.
that crime spree in Chicago is inspired so very
You can get
much.
away with it. You can get away with the vigilantism and can put it under wraps because so long as the newspaper didn't say anything, it's lost to history.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny the idea that somebody would just say, "Well, just go straight and it's all okay." That's
Hmm.
not the way things work anymore. There's no off ramp. We're so obsessed with punishment. as a
Exactly.
society. And I think that
Exactly.
that's part of the struggle Batman comics are having now is
Hmm.
how
How
do
do you
you
do?
thread the needle of the world with Batman now?
That's true. That is
Yeah.
very true. And but also not lose stuff like Gordon and all that. That's part of the reason why I am convinced John Ridley, when he was writing his Batman books, he was having Renee Montoya be very self-loathing because it's like cops are bastards, but she's a
Yeah.
cop, I'm a cop, and editorial won't let me take that away from her, so I'm gonna have her hate herself because of that. But when he did GCPT, the Blue Wall,
Yeah.
he seems to undo it all. But I think that was editorial telling him, reverse what you did, reverse
Yeah.
everything you did, and but it was a good, damn good story.
Yeah.
It was a damn good story, but you could tell that he didn't want to do it.
Because
It was
I
so
mean,
obvious.
they did some Nightwing runs back in the day where
Yep.
the Bloodhaven police were corrupt, and he was
Oh yeah,
trying
but
to,
what I love
yeah,
about Bloodhaven, unlike Gotham, where it's corruption from the bottom working its way up,
yeah,
in Bloodhaven, it starts at the mayor's office
yeah,
and trickles down.
yeah, yeah. I always see Bloodhaven as sort of like a Staten Island
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah, it
yeah, but that's what I love
some
about Elseworlds. Though there's so many good Elseworlds I've looked over. Some
Oh,
are
it was a
wonky as hell.
great time in DC Comics. Yeah, not every single one hit, but
Yep,
the fact that they could just
open
tell a
freedom.
contained story. Yeah,
There was such open freedom. Like there was
yeah.
the two-parter. You have Batman, Two Faces, and the Superman monster, where they retold Jekyll and Hyde was Batman and Frankenstein was Superman.
Yeah, and I mean that was the time that you had dedicated readers through comic retailers that would go in and just sample, right? And
Exactly.
so they could do one shots like that. Now it's so hard to get anyone
You have to make it a
into.
black label book to do that.
And even then, there's a reason that the big two keep reimagining existing. Well, part of it
Yeah.
is they don't want to pay to do new copyrights when they've got all these characters to begin with. But
Yep.
it's just market realities that are sort of stifling the originality we got. I mean, look at how many of these stories end up influencing movies and television
Oh
today.
yeah.
It's
Very
from
much
that
so.
era. I mean, and it's an example of I won't name names, but I saw a thing on Twitter where someone was saying the golden age of superhero movies is over, and people have been
Uh,
counting out
no, the
comic
problem
book
is,
superhero storytelling from before that book
yep.
was written because of the
Uh,
spec market going boom.
I would say this. I think James Gunn put it best when he talked about like, does he think there's a fatigue? To an extent, he thinks there's a fatigue in the same type of story being told. And I think that's a pot shot at the MCU. I think he was taking a pot shot, a well-deserved pot shot, because I bet you if things didn't happen the way they did and he was meant to be Fahey's right-hand man, I think he would have shaken things up if he had stuck around.
I think that Marvel Marvel is a formula right now. And I say this, I've been enjoying phase
Oh,
four,
yeah.
phase five for
Well,
what
I've
it
been
is.
enjoying it too.
But when something is oriented on films, and
Hmm.
okay, DC has fucked up their films. I won't defend the DC
Oh, no.
films.
That's why I'm looking forward to this reboot. And I'm looking forward to Blue Beetle.
I'm so looking forward to Blue Beetle. I have such high hopes. I'm
Flash and Blue
trying
Beetle both have me hyped.
Flash. I'm not going to enjoy, and it's not going to be about the movie. It's going to be not wanting to watch Ezra Miller for 2 hours.
True, I understand. I understand that,
Eh,
but
eh,
I saw Shazam. I don't get the hate for it. I do not get the hate. I
oh, you
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it?
I
Okay.
enjoyed it. I enjoy it. Check out my review I did with Ingrid. We both loved it. We're like, what's with the hate?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it
It's
eventually.
better than Ant-Man.
You didn't like I enjoyed
I don't. I
Ant-Man,
enjoyed
so
it.
that
No,
says
I
something.
enjoyed Ant-Man. I will
Okay.
say this. Ant-Man. I put it in a way somewhat on par with Love and Thunder, but they both have problems. The other one has a strengths on.
Interesting.
Like
Because
Love and like Ant-Man, I felt had much less force humor compared to Love and Thunder. Much less force
there was
humor.
still some, but
Some, but
yeah,
nowhere
it
near as derailing of the story as Love and Thunder did.
Love
Plus, it
and
didn't have the pointless Zeus sequence. I'm sorry. Just take out that whole
okay,
sequence and the movie
okay,
would have been
Robert.
better.
The Zeus sequence is pointless for you. It's pointless for me. It is not at all pointless for the Thor fangirls, and we have to
Oh,
allow
okay,
them
okay,
the
but or at least
Hemsworth butt,
write it better,
right?
or at least write it better. Have Zeus be actual Zeus, not what they want to make Zeus be.
Well, that was an entire tee up. First of all, the Eternals imagery. Second of all, they're teeing up Hercules.
Yeah, but
Going
Zeus was
forward.
never a coward. He wasn't a, yes, he was a womanizer, but he was, in Marvel, Zeus was like, yes, I am it. He beat up the Hulk, for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
He beat the Hulk into the point where he was vomiting.
I am with you. That was my not favorite part of Love and Thunder.
So much else I loved about it, but that one scene is what hurt it so badly.
But again, emphasis on the but. I am not the audience for that scene.
It's like that whole bit was for that one scene, but that's that one.
Of course it was. Of course it was. And
you flicked too hard.
I am doing my diligence of saying I'm not the audience.
I get it. I understand that. But
there are other parts where the goats were for me.
Right.
The goats.
Not for me.
I love the fucking goats. But
they got annoying for me.
But that is the problem with the film formula, right? These movies have to make absolutely so much money that there needs to be all these different segments of the movie-going audience appeased by a couple of scenes instead of doing something that's a cohesive vision. And
I don't even think they have a cohesive vision with this Kang stuff compared to what they had with leading up to Thanos. Thanos was a perfect straight line to Thanos.
Okay.
Feels like with Kang here, it's like a whole bunch of bits and pieces.
Okay. We don't know what's going to happen with Kang now.
Not now.
Oh my God.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh crap, that Marvel is shitting themselves.
And isn't it awful that that's the first place someone went when it's the guy's life? Everybody, he's so good in the part, but I do think...
Oh yeah, I loved him in Ant-Man. He was the saving grace of that movie for me.
Okay, let's face it. Phase 1 through 3, it was new. So there were no expectations, right?
No
they could make one good
but
movie.
Also, though, I think they did have a plan, and I think they didn't overdo it. They didn't overdo it with the movies.
But keep in mind, Thor and Captain America were both only modest successes, and they were fairly small movies that were somewhat... people either liked it or they didn't. They were setups. They had the time to let it breathe.
And then Captain eventually became the Avengers 0.5 movies.
Right. But that because they didn't have another Captain America story the minute they get him out of the 40s.
Yeah.
So they had to make them ensemble films. But, Iron Man 2, not great.
Not great.
Iron Man 3,
underrated, I feel.
Certain parts were really... I enjoyed seeing Robert Downey Jr. actually get to act.
Dark World, though, no.
Yeah, and that
is my bottom movie. That is my bottom of the modern comic book movies.
And again,
it was boring.
My girlfriends like Dark World.
Oh yeah,
so
there's stuff to like, but you could tell that this was a movie that was one of the first Marvel movies to be hurt by their mandates.
And having to shoehorn a lot of larger universe continuity
and cutting out the stuff for the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I've heard everything. Christopher Eccleston did a great job at it, but they cut so much of his stuff that he's just a generic baddie because they needed more Loki.
Well, and even then, it's the Loki problem, right? Loki's a different character in everything he's in because they are not. They're so fixated on plots in MCU, not the characters.
Yeah, look at the stuff with Hulk in Age of Ultron. Him and Black Widow, and then they just dropped that.
Yeah, and then they brought it back kind of through references, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute, but it makes me miss that. And okay, the Hulk is. I think that the Hulk is Marvel's plan B. Right now, they are so waiting for those rights to revert so they can
they do Planet Hulk and they can make it a bigger story.
They can't do Planet Hulk yet. They did Planet Hulk off screen. They can do a version of World War Hulk, although they've already changed the way that opens. So it's going to be another. They're going to use the name, but the story is going to be totally different.
I hope Sierra shows up. I want to see Sierra.
Well, she'd already be dead.
But we don't.
Didn't
But
she?
he said he came back with a son. We don't know the context of his birth or anything.
But that's the thing. She died
She
shortly
died.
after
Yeah.
he was born, and
No,
that's why
before,
he
no, he
hates
was
Banner.
no, he died when he was after he was conceived because the bomb blew up.
That's right.
And Bruce came back to Earth, didn't know his son was still there.
No, that's right. He didn't know, but Scar hates Banner because of
But now
yeah.
again, she's playing us so much differently. We don't even know. Maybe she's alive.
Yeah, I mean they were definitely there were a lot of things in She-Hulk that were about that, and I get why people were like, I don't know what's going on here. And
You know, and again, that is the big problem. They're throwing so many ideas, there are so many spinning plates. At least in the first volumes 1 through 3, the
yeah.
end game, the Thanos arc, they had like perfectly spinning plates, like the.
And I admit I was not a huge Thanos fan.
I am. I'm a huge Thanos fan. I mean, in general.
The changes from the comics.
Oh no, I will agree with that. The movie version,
yeah.
not so much, but the
Yeah.
comics, I love.
Oh yeah, that's why the movie version I wasn't thrilled with, because the comics version, okay, he's in love with death. I don't have to think too hard about all the things he does.
Yeah, I mean, I get what. But now, to be fair, they gave him Death's motive. They just cut Death out of the middle person.
Yeah, but
remember, because that's why Death told him
not
to
only
use the gauntlet.
Not only was Lady Death smoking, right? And there was something lost kind of there, that presence. But I don't know. It's a different Thanos when he's the highest power as opposed to him serving something.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The whole thing about making a Malthusian paradox and
well, again, no, that is what Death wanted him to do, though. But that's what Death wanted him to do.
Yeah, so, but when he's just serving out of a really warped love, I can think less.
Going back to Gunn, I am liking how he's not going what you would think he would do was Gamora. How basically like he's a different Gamora. It's not going to happen. They didn't go through any of the same circumstances. It's not going to happen.
Okay, you know I hate Star-Lord, so yeah. I think.
Although I gotta say, I did love the joke saying like that. Pretty that sounds like her. Points to W, and I'm like, no, don't even. I just love that.
I'm very curious to see what Guardians 3 is going to be, just because James Gunn is not the same person he was when he made the first Guardians movie.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not. He's gone through a lot, and he went through doing the Suicide Squad, which changed his mindset. Heck, look at the holiday special.
Yeah,
it's a very different tone.
Well, I was happy that the holiday special was Drax and Mantis focused, because
well, you needed it.
I'm enjoying those little and there's a new element that I think people are underrating in phase whatever we're in now. Those little 1 hour like made for TV.
Oh yeah, that things. One and the Werewolf by Midnight.
Werewolf by Night was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night was fantastic. The fact that they're bringing back like the Wonderful World of Disney live action TV format.
Those have been so great because they're short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, there's stories that aren't quite enough for a feature, aren't quite short and like streaming. They're just an hour. You're in, you're out. We have a good time.
We have Secret Invasion coming out. I think that's going to match the tone of Falcon and Winter Soldier. That tone, and I think that'd be better. So. Keep the tone from the Captain America movies, and I think they have a hit.
One, Secret Invasion is going to drive me crazy. I'm going to have to turn off my continuity tracker because it's taking place in the past, is it not?
I don't think it is.
Okay, because that's one of those things that seeded.
Or it might be both. It might be both.
They seeded the Skrulls in Captain Marvel.
I think this is going to be a different sect of the Skrulls. I think that's been made clear. This is a different sect.
But I mean, this is what I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Because the Skrulls came to Earth in the 90s. Right here,
Talos is going to be helping him out.
Yeah, like they've had 30 years to replace people. There'd be Skrulls all over the freaking place.
That's true.
And again, I thought that's where they were going to go, but they're going with Kang. And it's like, did they change gears? Was this the original plan? And then they decided, no, we can't.
Here's what I think. I think Secret Invasion was, because remember, Secret Invasion was in the works, and not Secret Invasion, but a lot of plans were starting to get worked on before the Fox merger.
Yes.
And the Fox
Yeah.
merger is what gave them access to Kang.
Okay,
Remember,
that
they,
is the property.
Fox always had it just because, he was introduced as Ramasan in the Fantastic Four. He's a Fantastic Four villain,
Yeah.
but he's mostly been in Avengers. Nope, introduced in Fantastic Four. We own it.
They cannot afford to fuck up the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four has to be.
I guess I'm so
fantastic.
grateful Deadpool 3 is going to be a swan song for the Fox X-Men stuff.
Yeah, I mean, who knows,
It's
right?
clearly that's what it is. That's clearly what it is.
They can't seem to quite quit some of those actors, though, and I think that's a good thing. I think that there has not been a truly definitive X-Men film yet.
No, there is not.
That Bryan Singer
definitive
fucked with things
actors,
too much.
but I think
yeah.
the closest would be Days of Future Past. I think that would be the closest.
You know what? I
didn't say it's there.
Yeah.
I'm saying compared to all the others, it's the closest.
Even then, though, there was shenanigans with some of it, and I never warmed to that cast. I like Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique more than I thought I would, but I never.
But even after that, though, she got annoying with the later.
Well, that whole cast, stop putting Michael Fassbender in things. You know,
I thought he did a good job as Magneto.
Paul Bettany, better version of Michael Fassbender than Michael Fassbender. But I mean, everything Michael Fassbender's in that I've seen, he's fucked it up somehow.
Again, I do think Magneto is one of the exceptions for me because I loved him as Magneto. I thought he does a great job.
Magneto needs to be Jewish coded, and Michael Fassbender is not Jewish coded. Like Ian McKellen invoked that the secret identity kind of gay thing when he was flirting with Mystique. It was weird, but he was having the time of his life, so it was fine, right? Yeah. Michael Fassbender is just way too square-jawed. I mean, yes, he had the flowing hair in the X-Men cartoon, but they got into his past in the cartoon as well. I do think that there was that scene, the action scene in the forest was great in that movie, but he just didn't have
Okay, we're way off. We're way off in his
Yeah, well, this is gonna be another video at this
point. I can just chop this right off.
Let's wrap. I mean, do you have a format where people just come on and talk about stuff? Because
beside my streamings, not usually, but that's what I love about having these on. Besides, it'll help expand it. I can just keep it on simply saying Pro DJ plus a rambling.
Plus we go off the rails.
It'll allow me to have a much lengthier time than 12 minutes like I went through with that. So
yeah, but because we miss Elseworlds, I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah, we miss Elseworlds. And again, I've gone over. My favorites have to be like the Batman and the vampire one. I went over, I've gone over a bunch of them. I went over some of the worst ones, like JLA Act of God, where all the heroes lose their superpowers and they become whiny little bitches.
There's a bunch of else. I mean, they did
JLA created equal. All men are wiped out except for Superman and Lex Luthor.
They did some great stuff with the Spectre during that Elseworlds period, and I freaking love. You know, I got the Spectre back there. I
love the Spectre. What is he? Did I tell you liked him going up against Mixie in the last one? And,
every time I see the Spectre, I just get happy.
Have you been reading Deceased?
No,
Did you hear? Did you hear? Can I tell you?
I keep, go ahead, spoil it because I keep trying
Alfred
to read
becomes the new Spectre.
Yeah, I know.
That was awesome.
Kind of.
What? Alfred is the new Spectre. What's not to love about that? Especially after losing everyone.
I want Alfred back as Alfred.
I do too. I do too. But I'm saying, for the sake of this story, it's awesome. See him with the mustache and everything.
You know what it is? I'm mad that they killed him in the first place. I thought
because it was meant, and then they doubled down and have kept it that way. They teased us with Lazarus Planet, and with Batman versus Robin, and then it's like, oh nope, he was possessed, but we're giving him a farewell. I do not like when they treat the Batman family characters as disposable, so that Batman can whine about shit. I don't like that. They're their own people. They're important. When you break the formula, I just can't tolerate Batman. I am so struggling with Batman. And so I'm still pissed at Alfred being dead.
in the first place.
Blame the deal for that one. That was his plan
Wow.
because originally it was supposed to be an hallucination.
Yeah. Yeah, but
That was the original plan. I don't blame Tom King. I do
Oh
not
no,
blame
no, no, no,
Tom
no,
King.
no, 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 no. I
That
don't
was not
blame.
his call. That he was going to have it be like because
It's
you have Psycho Pirate there. Of course, it could be an illusion,
it's
but
always editorial. It's always, always, always editorial. It's not the writer's fault.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be like Megan Fitzmartin was Tim Drake Robin. I'm sorry, she is clearly using that as her mouth or soapbox. You know, like
But
she.
editorial's still approving it, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, and that's the thing.
yeah.
What the funny thing is, when that first happened, it happened under executive editorial's noses. They
That
had no clue until it
oh,
happened, and they were pissed.
oh, interesting.
But
Okay.
mostly because they were building up for John Kent being the one who would be coming out first. But then they got it, they slipped it under the radar, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing? We were getting ready for John."
But the Tim Drake story was better handled. I hated the John Kent story.
Okay, it was better handled initially, but it's
Yes.
gone worse. Whereas
Well,
John Kent has gotten better.
Well, they
But, you know, in that
they've
it's not
reset the whole John Kent
okay.
thing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though. But the John Kent thing, it's handled in smaller dosage, and even Tom Taylor admitted he didn't want it started that soon, so it got forced. You know, he rushed it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Tim, it has become I'm bi, but I'm really gay. And the fact when he meets up with Bernard, like, I thought you were super. And Bernard just recently said to him, "You were my gay awakening."
Well, that happens.
It's like but who actually flat out says that though to the person?
Oh,
And then Tim said, like, I thought you were super straight. AKA, remember when you hit on my stepmom? Well, I knew you weren't. It's like he's taking, and then you had Stephanie being ghosted for months by Tim.
He's always they've wrecked the Tim Stephanie relationship.
Yeah, but
so
that
many
one though
times
really bothered me the
this.
most though. He ghosted her for months. To the point where then he's flat out lying and trying to throw her into the bus. The Connor's like, oh, she's not talking. That's not what she says. All right, you two talk now. And then what happens when he meets up? Brings his boyfriend around, and she's all like, yay, I'm so happy. So it's like,
but are there more characters treated less well than Stephanie Brown historically in the DCU?
True,
but they have been so shit to that character.
But I'm just saying though, when it comes to Fitzmartin, everyone's a mouthpiece.
But that was my issue with the John Kent storyline too, right? Is that everybody was happy. No one was. I was like, if I was Clark Kent in that position, I would not.
Even there. He was out on he didn't find out until afterwards, and even then he finally then said like, "You think I'm going to care about that?" It's
but
like,
I wouldn't. If I were him, I wouldn't care about my son being gay. I'd embrace that. It's you're making it a thing. You are putting your relationship in front of media cameras. You are endangering people doing that. You are painting a target on your boyfriend's back. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, but Dad, he can go intangible. He can't be hurt.
It's still, we know what happens with those things, right? But that was the point where Superman didn't have a secret identity. And
now I do like the twist they've done now with the secret identity back. Everyone knows that Jay is dating Superboy, but they have no like, why is he hanging out with John Kent? That's a nice twist. That they can't reveal why.
Yeah, because everyone somebody's not gonna put that together.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, but I do like it now, and it's basically making things a bit rougher for the two now because now he has to be dressed up in a different, hiding himself when he's with John.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know the whole thing. They're sensationalizing the sex lives of
and I
teenagers.
agree, but I do think Tim Drake has done it worse because you've had it like when they were hyping up in the book, it's like we're returning back to its detective stuff. Problem is, most of the issues have been about him and Bernard. Five of the first 5 issues solicitation were about Bernard. Bernard was abducted, and then basically the majority of it is about Bernard was tacked on detective stuff just to do that.
That's a thing now, though, isn't it? They use the book to tell
That's more
stories about a
Marvel though than
second.
DC. That's more Marvel than DC though.
Well, Marvel's doing it in all their media properties, and it bugs me. Like it
Yeah,
bugs me when
DC
they do
is
that.
better
Yeah.
than that. But DC is better at that, at keeping it, reined in by comparison.
I just get the sense there's a ton of desperation because whenever they do those sort of earned media ploys, there's always a recovery period where sales either return to baseline or they actually slump because they lost readers. And the
Hmm.
reaction to that is what I'm seeing right now. And that, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's true of any massive crossover. New 52 went the same way. Whenever they do a big shakeup,
Oh
the
yeah,
calculus is they're willing to risk long-term readers to gain new ones. They don't tend to gain new ones. They lost readers like
oh
me,
yeah.
who I was super regular until too many crossovers. I actually started getting fatigued during Blackest Night because
Hmm.
everything started tying into Blackest Night. And there were parts I loved about Blackest Night, but it was just too much. And then it
Right.
became Brightest Day. And then I just
Well,
want to
Brightest
be
Day
able,
ended up being a weekly, not an event. But I know what you
yeah.
mean.
But I just, it went on and on and on. And it was all stick, no carrot. I'm forced to buy books I don't care about. It
Right.
gets too expensive. And so I'm
Oh, I
just like,
understand. I
it's
understand.
like,
That's why.
fuck y'all. I'll go play Injustice.
Oh,
Right.
and again, I completely understand.
Oh, I know you do.
I
But
mean that.
I
I mean,
mean,
I still keep buying because that was actually starting. I wouldn't say that was my heyday, but I was getting close to my heyday. Which because
yeah.
I started at Infinite Crisis and kept going forward.
See,
So for me,
my first modern era, this is amazing, like post-crisis, this is amazing, was
mhm.
Batman No Man's Land.
Oh, yeah, great swan song for Denny O'Neil's
Yeah.
editorial tenure
Yeah.
on the Bat books.
Yeah, that's when I started getting. I started as a Marvel girl. It shocks the shit out of
Oh,
everyone, but
I got into Marvel because of the cartoons first, and then I got into it from there.
I got into Marvel around well, I loved Mr. Sinister. I know that's
Oh,
weird.
Sinister, I
I
know.
just love the look of him, and I mean, I
Well,
got
talk about a
in
guy who
right,
deserved a movie appearance.
but yeah, he's fucking cool looking, but
Him and Miss Sinister.
yes, yeah, and I started reading with Spider-Man, and
Hmm.
then I got really into X-Men, and then,
Oh boy, X-Men. Talk about property that's been through the ringer like
oh my
crazy.
god, yeah, I don't remember the last time well, Grant Morrison's run on X-Men before it went off a cliff was the last time I read it, and like, yeah, okay, this is interesting, this is new, but I'm
Yep,
still buying it. Yeah, there you go. That's
I got
it.
the
Yeah,
omnibus.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That I
That's all
enjoyed.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, also, say what you will about Joss Whedon. I didn't mind his astonishing X-Men when he got on.
he
It was probably
ghost wrote that was ghost written.
it was.
I think so.
It still had a lot of his Whedonisms in it though, so that's why I
Yeah,
wonder.
yeah, but he probably went polished it, but somebody did the plots for him. That
Possibly, but given the
everything, it's Joss Whedon's whatever, and so
true,
everything's
but the
gonna
fact
be
that
the
his
same.
stuff though was the sequel. It was meant to be the immediate sequel to Morrison stuff, and he plays off of what Morrison had done.
Yeah, and I mean, even some of the Morrison stuff, I
Well,
know the
Morrison had some good
whole
ideas, and
he
then
did have.
then Magneto destroys it because why? It's just the same problem with Mark Waid with Doctor Doom. Both of them seem to want to. Both him and Morrison seem to want to just dump on Burns and developments he gave the characters.
I just think that's when Grant Morrison was starting to do a lot of drugs.
Yeah, but I think that he got better when he started focusing at DC. Then I think when he started focusing at DC, he got better.
I don't remember what Grant's pronouns are now.
They, them, they, them.
They. But I
Like
think
his stuff
that
at was 52. Some of the ideas he gave, like how they reworked the Metal Man, and hey, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the Ryan Choi Atom.
yes, and I love Doom Patrol. I love Doom
Oh
Patrol. I
no, his
just
Doom
love Doom
Patrol. Yeah,
Patrol.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, yeah. But
You
I
know what
mean,
still amazes me? You know what still amazes me? The fact that he came up with the idea of Monsieur Mala and the Brain being gay for each other, and it
that
stuck.
that book was so
And it was just a one issue thing.
I so ahead of its time in terms of LGBTQ plus stuff. Sandman gets all the credit But I mean,
But Doom Patrol
Danny,
happened right before Vertigo became a thing. So I
I
mean, we're
know, and Danny the Street is
Danny
named
the
after
gay.
Danny LaRue, who was a well-known drag queen. Like it was all
You
there.
have you yeah again. You had such great idea. The fact is also you gotta remember this. It initially started off playing off of the gene bomb stuff
Yeah,
from Invasion.
yeah,
And then afterwards you just forget that happened because he focused so much on it. But it didn't become a Vertigo until Rachel Pollack took over.
yeah. But I have no idea why Sandman gets all this cred
Because
for,
here's why. Because it got mainstream appeal.
I
And to the
guess.
point where I think also because people forget the tie that people conveniently forget the mainstream DC ties that were in that book. Like
Oh,
Dr. Destiny and
people,
all that.
yeah,
People
people
just focus
forget.
on the endless. They just focus on the endless. That's all they focus. Also, let's be honest, it's kind of death. I think in death is a big reason why people focus on it so much.
Well, I mean,
Well,
the
the art
art
too.
was stunning. The art
Yeah.
was stunning in Sandman,
It was
but
also the Goss culture. The Goss culture, I think, helped out a
that's the
lot.
thing. Goth wasn't. It was mainstream-ish
Oh, I know, but
back
I'm just saying, no,
then.
it helped. Is what I'm saying. It helped start get the ball rolling.
I think it helped because people. It was sort of. I don't know. I don't understand why Sandman gets such outsized credit for LGBTQ inclusion, and Doom Patrol's just like getting missed because the whole thing about Larry Trainer,
Hmm.
that was there from the beginning,
Oh yeah,
and it
and one thing, there's
wasn't.
one thing I will give props to DC. You've except for Byrne, you've had most writers wanting to keep going, saying
Yeah,
every version of the Doom Patrol
yeah,
happened. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. I do
Even
too.
Keith Giffen did a phenomenal job with that. Did you read his run?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that run was great. How basically he's like you had Mr. Nobody become Mr. Everybody or
yeah,
whatever, and then
yeah,
they brought back Tracy Jade. He brought Ambush Bug, but at the end, he did a very Doom Patrol way of ending it. Basically, like, wait, what's that? What's the flashpoint? No
yeah,
idea. Wait, seriously?
yeah,
Wait. What were the sales? No,
yeah,
I understand. I understand. Okay, guys, let's move. Let's pack it up. We're out of here. I
yeah.
just love that. That Ambush Bug just whispers to Mr. Everybody's like, and he's like, wait, no, that
I
bad?
think
No, I understand.
I think the other thing about anything Grant Morrison does is dismissed as psychedelic as
Eh,
opposed
I can see
to.
stuff like the Invisibles being that way, but
Well, it was very trippy, but
yeah, but that's the funny thing. Just earlier, to a couple in a couple videos from now, I've recorded a while ago, but
mhm.
Ingrid and I have gone over his Green Lantern, the first season, and the Black Star miniseries, and we've gone over Multiversity, and
Nice.
she's loving them all because she is such a big fan of D&D and world
Right,
building and
right,
everything, and
right.
she said that is definitely one of Morrison's strengths, world building.
Yes.
We also came up with this realization. People like to think, "Oh, Morrison's so complicated, it goes right over our head." It's like, not really. It's actually it has the
They're a
illusion
big
of
fan
complication.
of the Silver
I
Age.
know, but it's
Yep.
like they have the illusion of complication,
Right.
but it's actually very simple if you look through that illusion.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to because they're intimidated by the illusion. If
And
you
I
actually like Final Crisis is actually very simple if you take it at face value and don't try to read
mhm,
too much into it. But
mhm.
everyone wants to read too much into it because you're supposed to assume you're supposed to read too much into it.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because again, he gives that illusion of this is overly complicated and everything. But it's like, no, for me, it's easy. It's
Yeah.
simple. Why are
Yeah.
people making a big deal about it?
Yeah, so if people haven't watched Doom Patrol on HBO Max, who
Oh,
knows
it
how
is
long
so
they're gonna
good.
keep it around. It's coming up on the last episode soon. Please watch it so you're
Oh, and
on
check out the
for.
new book even, Unstoppable Doom
Yeah.
Patrol,
Yeah,
which
no, the Doom Patrol TV show is one of the best
yep,
adaptations of a comic book I've
right up
ever
there with
seen.
Swamp Thing.
It gets no friggin' love, and I'm
It doesn't.
so bummed. It's such a good show.
Just like Stargirl didn't get much love.
You know what? The problem is Stargirl's best season was on a streaming service no one saw.
True, the first season, right? Okay.
And people tried to get on second season, and if you hadn't seen the first, it's kind of like what's going on? And the third season just sort of lost. lost
Yeah, it felt
something.
like they were putting too much in there, and then they realized we have to wrap it up.
And
But I did love one thing though. It's very Jeff Johns when he would introduce a character back again alive at the end, but before the end of the second season, and then reveal at the end of the third season, oh, that wasn't them at all. It's like,
I loved the first 2 seasons of that show.
yep.
It
I just loved that about the third season. The reveal about Starman, it wasn't Starman at all. It was the Ultra Humanite.
which really made a lot more sense.
Oh, it did. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah.
though. It's just like,
Yeah,
but again, that's very much what he does. Like
yeah,
he did in his comics. He would introduce a little thing in one arc,
yeah,
but it wouldn't pay off until the next arc.
yeah. It had a lot of really good merits. It was one of the best
Great
teen
acting,
shows. Great acting.
great
Great acting.
effects.
Yes, for a show. And yeah, the cast was really, really good. And I'm sorry that it got bounced around and didn't get more time. The only reason it got a second or third season was probably because it was Jeff Johns.
Yep. And then
But
you
it
have
was a good show.
and then there's Titans, which oh boy, the fact that thankfully they have Brian Edward Hill on the fourth season, who's salvaging what the third season had done.
Oh, Titans just I
Titans a
Titans
roller coaster. That is a roller coaster of a show.
going grimdark was a mistake.
Fuck Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, going grimdark was a mistake. All right, we should wrap.
Yeah, we should wrap. But I gotta get going myself. So Leanna, thank you for coming on for both of these episodes,
Yep.
and thank you for being here for this big rant that's taken up
Yeah.
more than even the main video we're talking
And
about here.
and
Remember,
if
okay,
people want
when
to
we
check
end
out,
on when we
yeah.
end on getting another summary of the main book, so we can still tie it in with
Okay.
Scar of the Bat. So again, I'll just say this overall with the book, since we have hardly talked about it, a good book on its own if you're interested in Elliot Ness, but as a Batman fan, get it for the artwork, not for the story. I hate to say that, but if you're here expecting Batman, you'll be disappointed. But
Okay.
if you're open-minded, you will enjoy it.
That was from a period in comics where they were experimenting because Batman's name sold books.
Oh yeah, how many
But
Elseworlds are there are Batman?
well, don't forget that was 96. That came right on the heels of Nightfall and John Paul Valley taking over as Batman. So they were sort of still coasting on the different Batmans because Batman is a benchmark in sales. People would buy a book that said Batman. So I don't blame them because comic books still had to make money back then. So yeah, I'd read it as a point in comics history as a good example of the gimmick, if you will. That's how I'd present it.
And I would say
to people.
if you want a good way to trick a kid into reading stuff about, in this case about history, I could think of worse.
I wish they'd do more of that, quite frankly.
Yeah, where you trick them into reading about it. Because in this case, you're expecting oh, how's Batman tie into this? Why is he having a Tommy gun? Wait, what's all this?
Yeah.
Oh,
They should do a Legends of Tomorrow book that's all just about history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for coming on, Leon. Thank all of you for sticking through our big rambling going off the rails.
I just put this into 2 parts. Get extra clicks.
Yeah, but we'll see. Well, it's already 2 parts because we got the world's funnest as well.
Right.
So we'll see you all on the next one. Take care.